Here are 5 things you can do that will help speed up your next marathon, regardless of your running abilities, how fast you are, or if the marathon is this weekend or in 4 months. So, number 5, this is what some guy told me at a 100 miler one time, and it was to take the tangents. Basically, it means don't take the long way around the turn, just take the short way. Take the corners a little sharper. And he told me where we were running on this gravel road, and he kind of moved to the inside of the turn, and he was running. He's like, I signed up for 100 miles, not 101. And I will never forget that. It was just like the funniest thing. And ever since then, I've taken the tangents. I've missed PRs by 1 second. People have not qualified for Boston by seconds. And as tragic as that sounds, taking a turn, if they took 2 turns wide during that missed BQ by 2 seconds, where if they would have taken the turns on the inside of the turn, they would have crossed that finish line 2 seconds sooner, and they would have qualified, and maybe they would have gotten in. So take the tangents. Number 4, why I stopped pushing the hills and started slowing down on the hills during races was because of a really interesting study that I read once, where they tracked runners over the duration of a race, and they found those who slowed more during the uphills, during the climbs, were more successful, or slowed down less, or ran faster, however you want to look at it, overall over the duration of the entire race. And I've done so many from Boston, where I almost negative split Boston, where just like the local 4 miler, slowing down on those uphills, so I don't really get out of breath during those shorter, steeper climbs. And my competitors, my racers, people around me will go off ahead, and it's extremely rare I don't catch back up to them and I don't pass them. And it's 100% because I didn't expire during or at the top of that hill. I took it easy, I relaxed, I slowed down, and I went and I got to the top with stamina, and I was able to accelerate, and it serves me well every time to do that. Okay, number 3, when you realize how important adequate fueling during your runs is, it can change the game in regards to how you feel during and after these big runs, these long runs, the races. And I'm talking about, when people come to me and they're like, oh, I'm doing like 100 calories per hour, maybe not eating breakfast. I took in 330 calories during my near negative split of Boston, and I've taken in, for most of my recent marathons, at least 300 calories per hour. And practicing this during the long runs leading up to that, you're not only training your legs, you're training your gut as well. And the better you can use this fuel, the better you're going to run. And there's no glory in bragging about, I run long runs, or I do marathons with 100 calories per hour. Almost every time you will feel better, you will run faster, you'll recover better by taking in more calories. You are doing the months of training. You are doing the money spent on gear and travel and lodging. You are doing your family who help you, support you during training. You're doing all of that a disservice by taking in 100 calories per hour, 200 minimum, up to 300. You will be glad you did. Number 2 is how I almost negative, like I came within 30 seconds of negative splitting Boston. It would have been so cool to say I did that. I had a client of mine do that though. And it was how I did that. The main thing was to mind the 6 P's. Proper pacing prevents piss poor performance. Slowing down that first half of my BQs, my 2 BQs of Boston, was the easiest 13.1 miles I have ever ran in my entire life. It should be hard to run that slow for the first half of a marathon. I like to break races up into thirds. Super easy for the first 10 miles, kind of hard-ish getting there, moderate for that next 10 miles of a marathon, and then intentionally hard for that last 10K because you paced appropriately and you're choosing to run hard because you can drop the hammer and have, like me and like my client at the last Boston, the fastest 10K and 5K of the race at the end. And gosh, it feels good to do that because you paced appropriately. And number one, the absolute best thing you can do to improve your chances of enjoying training, not getting hurt, not hitting the wall, running a successful marathon, whether that's a BQ, not dying at the end, just feeling good for the entire duration. The number one thing you can do to make sure that happens is to invest in a running coach. My job, and I've hired coaches as well, is to, cross your T's and dot your J's with everything, making sure you're doing the strength work, making sure you're reading race reports, making sure you go into the training, but also the event with a plan. You're not winging anything. You have a weight off your shoulders, and it becomes easy to do the training because it's laid out for you specific to your needs, your availability, your abilities. It makes it easy to get all these things done that are good for you, that you're not going to do on your own. I look at the training of people who don't have coaches, and honestly, the training of myself when I don't have a coach. And it's not as good as when I have a coach or when somebody is utilizing a person or a team of coaches like my coaching program. Having a group of coaches behind you with expectations of you that are going to ask you, why didn't you do that? Or they're going to congratulate you. Nice job. Good job with that easy run. It makes it easier to show up day by day, to make choices that serve you. And so if you think that some guidance, some accountability would be good for you, fill out the form at the application in the link in the description of this video. Let's chat and see if we would be a good fit to work together.